So we wanted to start us off with the collective reading.
Just thinking, like, I wonder if there's an explanation, because we're both very chill right now. This is not the same energy that I feel like they've seen us in before. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, we've been in a retreat. We had some time to celebrate your birthday and just relax and spend time in meditative thought. And we had tarot hour with another one of our friends this morning. And so we're very relaxed.
We are very relaxed. So it's good to be here.
It is.
Spirit of unconditional love. What message do you have for the collective at this time?
Wow.
Truth and alchemy. Wow. Okay, so we have soul forgiveness.
Once again.
We have truth. We have alchemy. Once again.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Well, let's talk about these first and then we'll get some clarifying cards. Okay. So after our last episode, we talked about soul forgiveness, and I feel like we got like some insights after our recording last time, because last episode we were talking about soul forgiveness
and Sekhmet, the wounded healer.
Yep.
For me, where I am right now with soul forgiveness and understanding soul forgiveness is that there is an energy of forgiveness that, and I believe this is why it's coming out right now, like forgiveness of understanding. I don't know why this is coming out this way, but holding someone else harmless and being in a place where no matter what happens, we are in a place where we will forgive. Forgive doesn't mean forget. Forgive means that I am not going to hold the poison of unforgiveness in my body, in my mind, in my emotions. And I need to release lots of wounds. So for me, I think the reason why it keeps coming up now is because there's a lot of wounds that are bubbling up, that are showing us, that are being revealed to us for us to recognize the areas in which we need to forgive and release ourselves from the bondage of unforgiveness. Like, I think a lot of times when we think about forgiveness for somebody who did something wrong to us, we feel like if we forgive them, it means that they got away with it. Like, forgiveness isn't for them, it's for us. And so our liberation, how much we can be liberated, is directly connected to the measure in which we can forgive.
Yes, for sure. I love the conversation that we had around forgiveness. So it's, to me, in this time, it is an everyday thing. I think that also the reason why it's coming up is because it's something that you have, it's like walk in forgiveness.
Yes.
Like let it be a practice of forgiveness, not just something that you do every blue moon or you come through your release ritual and then it's a practice that you continue to do, because you can experience harm or betrayal or feeling left out like constantly throughout the day. And so it is a practice of forgiveness. And I love that we talked about Yeshua.
Oh, yes.
And how he knew what was coming and how like people just did all of these things to him and he didn't fight back. And at the end, he was like, Father, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And that's the part that was like really sticking out to me. Like they had a way of believing that made them think that what they were doing to him was right. And so how can we see the other person's point of view in the midst of being harmed.
Wow.
And that is hard.
That is hard. Oh, so I love that you brought that back up because I completely forgot about it. And it brought up a lot of things. So I love that you said this is a practice. So like soul forgiveness is a spiritual practice, just like meditation, just like, you know, if you pull cards to get guidance, it just like prayer, it is a spiritual practice. Mm-hmm. That's the part that I feel like is like, oh, this is the next layer to understanding this. And the soul of us is the part of us that is connected to all things, right? And so when Yeshua was able to see that the people who were persecuting him, the people who were hurting him, were operating not in their soul's essence, but that they were controlled by an energy of fear, of whatever it was, hatred, anger. And here's, this is the really cool part, because he didn't see them in their affliction, in the version of them that was not their true essence. He saw them and he recognized that they were attached to and being controlled by an energy outside of themselves. And that's
their true selves.
Yeah, outside of their true selves. So one, it's like, how do we walk around in this world and see people doing things that we know in our heart and our soul is not a part of what sacred balance is? And I'm going to say sacred balance instead of right or wrong, because just like you said, some people think that they're doing the right thing based upon what they believe, right? And so my anchor is, how do I make sure that I'm creating the balance that cares for all things, knows that all things are connected? And so if I harm someone here, I know I'm harming myself. Like, how do I bring that balance to my everyday life? And so, yeah, when we're not operating in that balance and we see it in the world, we can say, like, have this righteous feeling of righteous anger, and we can still practice the soul forgiveness, which is seeing them at the essence of who they are, and knowing that they are being controlled by a thought form, an emotion, a belief, a value that isn't serving them or anybody else.
And generational beliefs.
Yeah.
Like it could be something that's in their family, and this is what they've been taught. Yeah, for sure. We have the next card, Truth. Has a lot of red, a lot of orange, a little bit of yellow. I feel like this is like, stand in the truth of who you are. The truth of who you are. She's looking at the reflection. So this is, to me, it's like, get clear on who you really are. Start to see yourself clearly. Like, who are you at your core? And in the midst of being wronged, persecuted, betrayed, ostracized, whatever it may be, forgive them and stand in your truth. Yeah, stand in your power. Find safety within yourself. It has the red, so it's telling me that it's connected to the root chakras, and it's about grounding, which that's been coming up for me a lot lately. What about you for the truth card?
So I love this card because at first glance, and it's connecting to my time today when we were doing our readings, because I recognize it looks like a reflection, but actually you see the trees are down there and you don't see trees here.
Oh.
And so I actually believe it's her connecting with a higher version of herself. So her, when you said truth, your personal truth, that is your power. That's who you really are, the essence of you. And during my reflection and meditation time, I wanted to get a mirror and to look at myself and pull the wisdom and the courage and the strength that I know that I need for this next leg of this journey of life. So I think that this, it's really about being grounded in your personal knowing of who you really are. And that's not the embodied version, right? It's the big self. So yeah, I love that one.
And then alchemy.
Yes.
Turning lead into gold. We talked about this in a previous episode as well. I feel like that this is the alchemy. This is like the soul forgiveness and standing in your truth. That is how you alchemize. And the transformation is about your inner transformation. And that transformation will, to me, inevitably start to flow out into your external reality. Alignment. Also, like the sacred third, she's like in the middle, holding the middle, preserving the balance of two opposing energies. It's also like, to me, almost like she has a what's the view called? A bird's eye view, like taking a bird's eye view, taking yourself out of a situation so that you can observe what is true within that situation. And also that's a good way to begin the forgiveness journey also, so that you can see from different perspectives, not even just your perspective or the other person's perspective, but like from a higher perspective of why things are happening the way that they're happening, and where you can align yourself with your essence and your truth. How is the other person reflecting back to you something that you're experiencing within yourself, and maybe you don't want to look at that? How can you be courageous at looking at the deep, dark shadows within and transforming that into unconditional love?
Well, I love Nefertiti. You know, she actually shifted the people in ancient Egypt at the time from a polytheistic religion to a monotheistic, and it was the worship of the sun, right? And so she was the catalyst for a movement that seemed impossible. She was also seen as the equal to her husband, the pharaoh, and so it's like that balance of divine masculine and divine feminine. And then I also noticed the Ankh was there, right? And so it's like life. How can we bring life into dead situations, right? Like, how can we make sure that we are seeking to alchemize every place that we go into? The energy of walking in soul forgiveness, the energy of standing in our truth, and the energy of being intentional about alchemizing the situations that we encounter, not just being affected by it. Because, you know, we can go into a situation and not have an intention at all, and we're under the energy of whoever has the strongest intention in the room. But if we go into life in all the places that we go with the energy of, I am here to alchemize, not just for myself, but for others, I think that's a powerful practice as well. So these are all powerful practices.
Yeah, very much so. I said that we were going to pull clarifying cards, but I actually feel clear.
I feel clear too, but I think, can we get it just, was there another card that you wanted to pull then?
All right. Spirit of love and light, is there anything else you have for us?
Oh gosh.
Wow. All right, this one came out first.
Yes.
The Chariot.
Again.
3 of Pentacles. 6 of Pentacles. 8 of Swords. I feel like the Chariot is telling us right now to slow down and reevaluate. Maybe even reevaluating the circles that we're in. Having checks and balances. Like, are you receiving and giving within your community, within your collaborative projects? Is there a different perspective that you can take around something? Could be around money, could be around something materialistic, could also be around the balance of spiritual and material, the material world. And then I think after the reevaluation, after you're clear and there's some purging that has happened, then it's time for action. But I think this is saying slow down, reevaluate. Is there equilibrium in the people that you are around and how you interact with each other? And this Eight of Swords kind of connects to this truth to me.
Another mirror.
Another mirror. Seeing yourself clearly. Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
So these came in reverse, the Chariot and the Three of Pentacles. So I guess for me, like whenever I see something in reverse, I'm kind of like, oh, this is what I need to focus on. So focus on harnessing those energies. Maybe you haven't been working to alchemize as you go into every space. So it kind of affirms this alchemy. And alchemy is collaboration with spirit. It is what's already, I'm thinking about Mujaji, right? So it's like manifestation isn't about us asking a manifestation to come to us. It is recognizing that the manifestation is already here and we just opening up to receive it. So with that, it's like there's benevolence. There is good that wants to unfold here. And you have to see the good that wants to unfold so that you can receive it rather than, and this goes to like looking at the negative. Like I think there is something really real in like speaking what is true. Like sometimes we can say, you know, this guy hit my car. That is truth. I'm not going to say he didn't hit my car. That is my truth and that's important. But I have insurance. My car is already fixed. It's done, right? Knowing that that is the outcome that already wants to take place. I have all the support for that set up to already happen. So why be upset about it, right? Or yeah, you can be upset about it, but don't allow it to take root. And so how can we, as we are navigating these very difficult spaces, whether it be a relationship, whether it be just the world in general, the workplace, and we know that we have to collaborate with another person, but know that, just like with Yeshua, seeing into their soul, we know that we collaborate with their soul because it is who we are. I am because you are. And then living in balance, working in balance. And yeah, I definitely like this awareness that sometimes the things that we are seeing aren't the reality. So she's looking in this mirror and she sees herself bound, and that's not the case. That's her emotional perception of the situation. And when we look at that, we can be driven by that. But if we, again, go to the help is already here, it wants to support me, how can I be more available to it? Then you already know the only thing in the way is me. So let me get in the way. Let me get in line.
In the lane.
Yes. So I like that.
I do too.
I'm currently reading Power versus Force. David R. Hawkins, MD, PhD. And we're going to be sharing this read together.
Yes, we are.
So you'll probably hear more about this later on. The teachings of devotional non-duality emphasize the core truths of the world's greatest spiritual traditions: kindness and compassion to everything and everyone, including oneself, humility, forgiveness, simplicity, lovingness as a way of being, reverence for all of life, devotion to truth, and surrender to God. It is a direct path to enlightenment in which each internal progression of love and integrity uplifts the whole of existence. We change the world not by what we say or do, but as a consequence of who we have become.
Alchemy.
Yes.
All those.
Yes. Yes. We found it. And I said, just wrote a little note here that the world is not changed by an external force. It is through the embodiment of our internal power and our alignment to sacred balance. So that kind of brings me right back to the Chariot, right? Of like, we need to make sure these two are both sacred balance. Six of Pentacles, the Chariot. And the Truth, I love these because I feel like everybody can, well, I could say everybody could agree with this, but you know, this idea of kindness and compassion to everything and everyone. Like, these are tenets that if we governed ourselves in this manner, the world will be better because we will be better to one another. It's all of our responsibility to do that work. There are gonna be people who don't do it, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to do it towards them, because then we're not doing it. It says everyone and everything. And so when you think about sometimes when you're angry at someone, or you know, someone is doing something that is harmful or disrespectful, like how often do we allow ourselves, we validate the behavior of disrespecting them right back, because everybody loves a good clap back, right? Like, don't start nothing. Yes, don't start none, won't be none, right? But if the spiritual practice for those of us who want to bring about balance, sacred balance, if that's what we want, we have to be it no matter what. And that's a hard work.
And Christ consciousness.
It is. It is. Speak on that.
I don't know if I can. I am immediately thinking about, I mean, you already said it, but I can think about witnessing a relationship where one person was definitely doing something wrong to the other person. And then in response, the other person just kind of like disassociated, and then therefore felt, and the other person that was doing the wrong felt like this person is doing the wrong. And so they're waiting for somebody to do something right and not taking the initiative to do, you're gonna have to change my words, the right thing towards the person. And it's like, go first.
Yeah.
Be the first person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't wait. Because then in the waiting, you're giving your power to the other person.
Yes.
Be the first to make the move. And then the reason why I brought that up is like, that's, you can see that on a one-on-one level, but how do we do that on a grander level? Yeah.
And here's the thing, we're not even doing the thing for them.
No.
Like,
we're not.
It's really for us to be in integrity with who we say we are. So when you were like the right thing, our truth.
Our truth.
Right?
Yes.
So this is something that's really important to me. Because I think that a lot of times when we talk about justice, it's like, was it right? Was it wrong? Who's right? Who's wrong? And I don't even think justice is like that anymore. Justice is about, because there's light and dark. Always. There will always be light and dark. That is sacred balance, right? But it's about balancing the light with the dark. And so there will be times where we are not operating in the truth of who we say we want to be. And when we're not operating in that truth, we are being unjust to ourselves. We're not being fair to ourselves. We are not living in our truth. And that's injustice. And so for me to say this is who I want to be and do those things, that is justice. For someone to want to hurt say they're like, no, I want to hurt people. And they do that, that is justice. It is still justice because we see who they are and what they do, they're the same things. So justice is really about us standing for the thing that we believe in. And I think right now, why this was upside down is because there's a lot of us. So this pertains to people who are workers of the light. Really, this is our battle. It's not, oh, they need to change out there. It's like, you are a worker of the light. How are you walking? What is your practice of soul forgiveness? What is your practice of standing in your truth? What is your practice of alchemizing every situation that you come into? If you are saying you are that and not doing that, you're an I'm unjust. And what if the thing that shifts everything is all of us, those who are workers of the light, coming into true alignment with who we say we are? That feels more empowering than trying to change people to see that our way is the right way. Like, Yeshua did not try to change anyone.
That's why I said Christ consciousness.
Yes. People came to him. He was the original projector. He came with an invitation.
Yep.
And he accepted, right?
Projector meaning in human design.
It's a way of, when you work with people, you really need to conserve your energy. And as a projector, you like to lead. And so one of the ways to make sure that your energy is at use for the people who need you most is making sure that you have the invitation, because you could be sharing your wisdom and your energy with someone who doesn't care for it. So, yeah. Because he even said, look, if you walk in a place and they want to talk about you, dust off your sandals and keep it moving, right? Like, you don't have to cast your pearls before swine. I'm getting way too much into the church.
No, you're not.
Language.
You're getting into, but that's okay. Like, it's something that you can relate to. It's a parable. Yeah, I love that. Continue.
Okay, so the fact that he just kept up his practice. I don't know. Like, I'm hit right now with this feeling of, we need to keep up our practice and we need to actually examine our practice. Because if we are wishing harm to people,
that's why I was like, slow down, reevaluate how you're collaborating with folks.
So now this goes into this book, which again is phenomenal, and just from the first 90 pages is really transformative when it comes to understanding our power as, we'll say, as light workers, our power as individuals. And it talks about that there are different energy levels for different emotions or belief systems. So it goes from shame to guilt. So shame is at a 20 energy level, guilt's at a 30. Apathy is at a 50. Grief is a 75. Fear is 100. Desire is 125. Anger is 150. Pride is 175. Now, I want to name that anything under 200 isn't really power. It is forceful energy, and it is overcome by the number that is the highest. And it's not like 150 plus 150, that's what you get when you have 300. It's like, no, 300 energy level is actually 300 to the 10th power. So it's much more powerful and potent than just doubling pride. Okay, so then energy level 200 is courage. This is the first layer of true power. All of these other emotions or energies, shame, guilt, apathy, which actually I don't believe apathy is the loss of empathy anymore. I think it's hopelessness. It is not seeing that there's an opportunity there, and so you do nothing. You feel nothing. So apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, and pride. Those are all of the energy of the human experience. And unfortunately, it is the lower level of it. And so we're not operating in our power. We don't start operating in our power until we get to courage. Courage is really about us understanding the attainment of true power is by knowing who we are and being brave enough, being courageous enough to do the things that we have come to do.
Courage implies the willingness to try new things and deal with the vicissitudes of life. At this level of empowerment, one is able to cope with and effectively handle the opportunities of life. At 200, for instance, there is the energy to learn new job skills. Growth and education become attainable goals. There's the capacity to face fears or character defects, and to grow despite them. Anxiety also does not cripple endeavor, as it would at the lower levels of evolution. Obstacles that defeat people whose consciousness is below 200 act as stimulants to those who have evolved into the first level of true power.
You had a couple like thoughts.
So anxiety doesn't, for someone who's operating in courage, anxiety doesn't shut them down. It actually motivates them.
Yes. Yes, because they see opportunities there that, so they don't have the hopelessness, they don't have the fear, they aren't in a place of anger or frustration that keeps them from seeing opportunities. They are courageous. They're ready to take a risk, something that they may not have done before. And it's because they trust in who they are. At those other levels, we really haven't tapped into knowing that we are powerful.
Yeah.
It's like an external power that we are focused on in those lower levels. But here, it's like we take on these things to help grow ourselves.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then the courage to look at character defects. That's the part that like got to me. And I think we even talked about that around the 8 of Swords card of like having the courage to look at yourself and to look at the shadows and not turn away and ignore things that actually need to be tended to, so that you can be in relationship with people and stand in your truth. It's also about forgiving ourselves too. If you're not willing to look at yourself, you're not willing to forgive yourself either.
And that shame. So shame is very, very low and on the energy list. I think it's like a 50. And it allows us to be open to control. And shame is not if anybody feels shame or guilt around something, like it's not like something that you can't get out of, right? It's about alchemizing. How can I reach for something higher? So, right, if I am experiencing shame, forgiveness is important because I feel like I disappointed myself or someone else, right? Guilt is when we feel like we should have done something, but we didn't. And so forgiveness is how we move up. That is.
I feel like right now, because we're talking about shame, we're talking about standing in our truth, we're talking about soul forgiveness. This is reminding me of something that I was getting over the weekend as far as like how we use like a red heart to talk about love and loving someone, and how red is actually correlates to the root chakras. And how the root chakras is about safety, it's about groundedness, it's about truth.
I was just looking at that,
It's about truth. Standing in your truth. And when we move up to the heart space, it actually correlates with the color green. And that is unconditional love. That is a heart opening. So it actually is a different feeling than what we're taught that love is. Because the way that we're taught about love in this society, it's actually pretty codependent. Like we were listening to 90s songs and all of those songs were just so codependent and relying on somebody else to validate them and to love them and to prove that you're lovable because I'm loving you. Not that you're lovable because you our
Just
love
our
itself. This is taking me back, even back to the Chariot and the Three of Pentacles, like slowing down, taking a step back, take a beat and reevaluate how we are operating within relationship, within community with people. Are we operating from a lower understanding of what love is, or are we operating from a Christ consciousness, from an open heart, from soul forgiveness? Like, how are we operating with ourselves? Because the way that we treat ourselves is also how we're going to treat other people.
Yeah, you can't meet anybody to a level that you haven't met yourself. You can't love anyone at a level that you haven't loved yourself.
And in this book even talked about love being something different than unconditional love. Like, they're two different things.
Yes.
And how can we really tap into unconditional love toward self and toward another?
Yeah. So, you know, it's interesting. I love that. And while you were talking, I was looking at the truth card and I was thinking, oh yeah, like I'm recognizing, so the root is about being safe, right? It's about knowing our, like, rooted in our truth, the truth of who we are, knowing who we are, our birthright, you know, when we move up to the sacral, our birthright of creativity, of being here to create, and that connects us with source. And then knowing who we are, knowing our unique power, moving up to the solar plexus. And then we have the green heart, right? So like when all of that is aligned, we then can push out unconditional love from the heart space. But we have to have those in alignment first. So that's what came up for me as you were sharing. They use unconditional love as an enlightenment. So it's like when you can operate there, you are truly loving others as if they were you, and you are loving you properly too.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and become a part of our growing community. Until next time.